Welcome to the first Conference of Natural Resources and Development. The summary of November 25th.
Three things. First, I will make the point that green growth requires eco-innovation. I think it is very important to see that an policy agenda for eco-innovation makes the point that green growth diagnostic is useful for identifying the economic but also the societal barriers to eco-innovation and as an instrument to facilitate an open and permanent policy dialogue involving all stakeholders. So eco-innovation is a very broad concept that involves also a social innovation and not only technological innovation. By something different. So it's not a presumptive approach that says, you need all the same solutions, but we need to tailor-make solutions, which is that when you see this barrel, infrastructure here is definitely the binding constraint. Here the water flows out. When you fix this one, the same amount of water will flow out. So the first thing you have to do is to fix this one, and then later you can eventually fix the other binding constraint. The green growth diagnostics looks, do we have the adequate? Eco-innovation is not simply high technology, but it's also a societal thing, but nonetheless a substantial transfer of resources. We cannot ignore this question, and this has to be addressed at the appropriate levels.
This is our partners, like every professor brings some partners with him that we try to gather in some of our activities and try to use the synergy that are available. And this perspective promotes all three sectors equally, and people involved in all three sectors actually welcome them. So now, let's see where it moves towards. Elaborated, and I think this is in the spirit of CNRD and in the spirit of our research focus, having people from different disciplines and from different countries.
The University of Bern deals with governance on hydropower, on the people's perceptions on the Hydro-ISEN project. We have the region of ISEN, it's nearly 2,000 kilometers south from here. In contrary to the northern part of Chile, has an abundance of water, which results in a substantial potential for hydropower. Well, frequent statements I had in the interviews were, this region needs development and therefore Hydro-ISEN is welcome. But interestingly, this statement was made more in Santiago than in the region itself. About in 50 of the 70 interviews was only a few rich families in Chile and some foreign companies will take the profit. We the people won't get anything. Because Chilean Patagonia's identity should be preserved. There's a lack of distribution of the benefits of the project. It can be concluded that the interview's assessment of the Hydro-ISEN project does not only depend on the distribution of the material costs and benefits such as energy supply, income and development options, but also on the perceived identity of the region of ISEN.
About the nexus again, we have heard some elaborations on the Nile Basin, here focusing on the Eastern Nile Basin, and then the short outlook. Water, energy and food are really the key topics of the development discussion. Altogether, there's a huge challenge ahead of us in supplying around about 40% more of water, energy and food to the people in a relatively short time. So let's say three areas of security: water, energy and food security. Around 50% of hydropower, of electricity generated in Sudan is based on hydropower. In Ethiopia it's almost 100%. And I think, okay, that is not a very sustainable solution. So that is more than 85% of the water flowing into Egypt originates in Ethiopia. So energy demand is growing much faster than population is growing. So that is a future project planned by Ethiopia. So Ethiopia now, let's say, awakening, growing, having demands in all the senses I described. So they want to build this is a 6 gigawatt project. So imagine the size of that. We can find negative impacts of they are negative impacts of any solution form discussed many ways, but look at the total rainwater that falls on the Nile Basin. It is 1,800 billion cubic meters of water. And so why don't we discuss this 95% of water that is in the basin? We just discussed 5% of the basin.
Water energy nexus up to now, and I can give you some ideas about the energy resources and the water resources of the metropolitan region. Then each person in my state consumes about 40 cubic meters of water, as drinking water at home, in school, and the university. And then if you compare the energy or the electricity production in this area, you see it's a very small share. This is a clear answer to this thing of hydro-ISN. Because even in future, the metropolitan region may be able to produce about 20%, 30% of the electricity. Additionally, you will need a lot of energy to pump the water up on the hills, and additionally, you have the risk of erosion in these areas. Yeah, I think sometimes, in order to come to more sustainability, sufficiency is required. Another idea, not only to calculate and to counter the efficiency.
So at that time, I made some evaluation for this. The soil damage are able to eliminate by supplying adequate flow. Synthetic measures are most effective in low water year and not urgent in high water years. And so that means for the future, we need to examine again the function of the barrier. Also control the flow of content, or we control the river to control the soil nutrition content. Short-term response are easy, effective, and feasible to implement in 2020. But long-term response are costly but more effective and feasible to implement in the future. Yeah, thank you very much.
We will send you a little video of our council.
Somos un país que progresa de manera responsable de la mano de la sustentabilidad y el cuidado de sus recursos. El Consejo Nacional de Producción Limpia es un organismo en todos los sectores productivos. Buscamos estar a la vanguardia en sustentabilidad, desarrollando...
It's a public-private working platform articulated by the National Cleaner Production, which voluntarily attend companies, business organizations, and users and authorities. And CPL, our council, promote the coordination, the articulation of the government entities and the companies, that they are a commitment to promote the sustainability in the basin.
It's the view of my office, probably the most beautiful view in the all universe, in the whole world. We present this as a geodiversity that's a little bit different from biodiversity. So I work with geodiversity. You have a very nice area of these barken dunes, parabolic dunes, very different names from geoscience, but it's very nice. And 50 years ago, the people probably these dunes do not mobilize. Of course not. It's very stable with a lot of vegetation. Of course, it's completely safe. And a complex of golf clubs, football. Some of this is a club match, it's the sea level, promotes a very good opportunity of research and should be included as a political decision.
Okay. So we have heard about efficiency many times this morning. In general, efficiency is defined as output divided by input. Organic farming have a low to medium input, but the yield potential of it is usually low. That agroforestry system, they have the ability to improve the soil quality and to take up the resource more completely. High energy output and low energy input of forestry subsystem. The energy use efficiency of the trees are the highest, which makes the agroforestry system have a higher energy use efficiency than organic and conventional agro farming.
Okay, the water safety plan is an instrument through which it helps provide assistance to contribute to improving the health of their community, and also the population can have immediate response to the risk to the sustainability of drinking water systems. Indigenous community also work with drawing made by them. When they talk about the problems of the water, the problem is the whole community, not just water, also health and food. As I said to you, this is a drawing made by the indigenous community. They identify the point of risk in those points specifically, and then we starting to write a chart for the plans to manage the good quality of water.
So this project is the first project considering the analysis of water, sediment, the preliminary treatment of the data, of the water analysis data, but to find a relationship between the variables, and also this relationship can help to identify the similarities between the water characteristics is calcium, magnesium, bicarbonate waters, and and also that we need to pay attention about the origin of the water entering in the wetland from the spring. The spring are recharged in another side, and so we need to know where is the recharge of this spring to understand how this affects the water quality in the wetland.
So the major aims of the study were, on the one hand, to assess the fungicide pollution in small water bodies, and also to assess the patterns of pesticide exposure. This is the study region in southern Germany. This is literature data from all over the world and also from different pesticides, not only fungicides, so there are a lot of highly toxic pesticides, insecticides. So we can conclude that the substances with low toxicity and sorptivity are detected within those systems, and the vegetative treatment systems are a possibility to mitigate those environmental impact. The plant density is the most important explanatory variable, and to do an outlook to improve those results, studies and optimized wetland systems can be performed, or a link to mesocosm studies.
Near to this is the Guanabara Bay and Rio City, Niterói, and this is the localization of the complex. More or less 554 index about health, education, economy and environment. We are working specifically with the MDG 7, which is we need change detection models. The solution is not map land use or land cover. The solution is not produce scenarios. The solution is detect change.
With results that I read in Brazil, in Sao Paulo state. Okay, this is the rainfall. In blue, non-erosive, without erosion events, and in red one with the erosion events, and the triangle is intensity. This is the sugarcane with coarse and fine. Then we can see that the first time, the first year, we have a huge erosion in sugarcane, mainly when the soil is bare, and after that it decreases.
The summary of November 25th. Welcome to the first conference of Natural Resources and Development.